the department sometimes, I don't know if it's all the time, but the department sometimes doesn't realize that a lot of the frustrations around how they change their minds has an impact on the mental health of the people that they're supposed to be servicing. And I saw a comment on a post that was made by Utami today where somebody said this page is all about the funding from the department. This page is not about the funding from the department. This page is about giving a voice to people who have been voiceless for the longest time, people who don't know who to cry to, people who don't know if they're going through things alone, people who are vilified for just being alive because most of them put themselves out there as artists, allowing themselves to be criticized for existing because they go out and they say, I will go on stage, I'll go on TV, I'll go on radio. And when they say, but don't attack, and people continue to attack, and then somebody justifies that by saying, but you put yourself out there to be attacked. No, that's not what artists do. That's not why we put ourselves out there. We put ourselves out there to bring joy. That's a fact. Ask any person who creates art, any person who puts themselves on stage, who goes to do things on TV. You put yourself out there because you want to bring joy. We put ourselves out there because we want to bring relief and release. So when that does not do that, sometimes it gets a bit much. So this page was created, Im4theArts was created to give a voice to the voiceless. So please don't ever feel the need to shut people up because they're using this platform to voice their concerns, to voice their frustrations. Allow people the space to vent. Sometimes people live alone. They have nobody else to talk to. And then tomorrow when somebody kills themselves, we are the first ones to RIP. And then we also say, but why didn't they say something? Yeah, but when they say something, you say they are always using this platform to complain about government funding. No, they are voicing their frustrations because the funding they applied for from government is not doing what it's supposed to do, or it's not, even the processes are not working the way they expect. So today I'm not even talking about the expectations that are not met. I'm talking about the impact of the unmet expectations on creatives everywhere. You know, somebody in the webinar actually said it's the same in Brazil, it's the same in America, it's the same in Europe, it's the same everywhere. Artists are all crying the same cry. Now, the question is, there's a program that was started by the Department of Arts and Culture during the second previous minister. It's called Silapa. I don't know whether it's Silapa, because when you say Silapa, it could be two things. Silapa or Silapa. So Silapa is in providing healing, or silapha as we are here. I don't know what that particular program is meant to be doing, but what I realized was that it was not having the desired impact, the impact of helping artists to manage their mental health issues. So there is a need for a Department of Arts and Culture to understand that there is an impact to every decision they make. So when you say to people, do 1, 2, 3, because we will do 1, 2, 3, and then you don't do, and then they turn around and they cannot function, understand that's the impact. And even with the public, when our celebrities come out and they say, I'm going through something, and then you say, what did they do with their money? Don't do that. Please. Please don't do that. When people are being vulnerable, let's be mindful. Let's be mindful. It's not easy to come out and say, I'm going through stuff. It's really not easy. It's one of the most painful things. And you have to understand that you're dealing with people who have ego. They are used to being adulated. Now suddenly they're coming out and they're bringing themselves to your mercy. And then you turn around and say, what do they do with the money they get given? Well, yes, let me tell you what they do with the money. If you're that one who only gets to work 2 or 3 months a year, the truth of the matter is that by the time you work, you are in so much debt. Every cent goes towards closing every gap that was created. By the time you are making money, you are not even making money. You're just paying off the debt. So there's a lot here that I'm touching on, but I was really touched by what was said in that webinar, because it feels like there's a lack of appreciation and understanding for the mental health issues that are faced by a lot of our creatives. And because of it, and because we don't take this the sector seriously, we think it's just entertainment. We sometimes don't take care. We are not mindful. Right now there's an issue of the MGE applications. There are people who applied and complied in January. Now, all they've been waiting for is the outcome of their application. Now, you turn around and you say to them, application cancelled. This is someone who's been waiting since the end of last year to submit, and they do submit successfully. And then you turn around, you say, application cancelled. Start afresh and go and submit that thing physically. Now, every resource they had was exhausted when they submitted that first one in January. Now, all they've been waiting for is an outcome that will enable them then to start working. And now you're taking that away from them. And you're saying, do it again. Well, if tomorrow people kill themselves, then be okay to say, I'm the one who pushed them to suicide. Be okay to take full responsibility and say, I'm the one who did it. You know, one of the panelists said, it's all good that Mam Nandi received assistance from the minister. What is not great is that the minister put out a video and it became about him assisting as opposed to Mam Nandi being assisted. The panelist went as far as to say, if you're going to assist somebody, don't put yourself in the forefront. Now, this is not to say that we don't appreciate what the minister did. I was one of the first people to come out and say, thank you, Minister, for doing that. Now, the flip side of that coin is, so how much longer are we going to put a plaster a plaster, not even a band-aid, on a gun wound, without cleaning out the gun wound, without stitching that wound, just putting a plaster. It's still bleeding, you're putting a plaster. The plaster doesn't even hold because the blood is seeping through the entire time. Now, what we need is a systemic change. What we need is a procedural change. What we need, the way we've been doing things doesn't work, and it's leading to more mental health issues. So, do you realize that if we had to then put my responsibilities on people, a lot of the responsibilities for mental health issues lies squarely at the door of the department, whether it's this minister, whether it's the previous ministers, whether it's the next minister. What they are doing there continues to feed the monster that is killing artists. What they are doing there continues to feed the monster that is breaking down the spirit of creatives. And that is not just a departmental thing at DSAC. It happens in production houses. It happens in institutions of learning, whether it's basic education, whether it's higher learning. It happens everywhere. It happens in productions where the director will break you down. It happens in schools where the lecturer will break you down. It happens in every sphere, every space of the creative sector. So the mental health issues of creatives is a subject we are not comfortable to talk about because we all want to come across as sane. But our sound mind is compromised by our work circumstances, our study circumstances. I used to be in a university environment where I saw so many students quit music because the department was toxic. We don't talk about that. We bring in all these young black children into spaces that are not friendly to their blackness because the lecturers don't understand what it is to be black. And we don't understand why our kids are not growing. I had to correct somebody over the weekend who said to me, but we are using our black singers to sing in the chorus and to do small roles. I said, that is not empowerment. You just said, I'm happy you use the word using. Don't use your black singers. Empower your black singers to function at a higher level than just being the ones that fill in the gaps that you can't fill in with the ones that you prefer. So there comes a time for us to look at the systemic problems that we are facing as a country. Our black people are consistently sitting in the firing line because of lack of empowerment. Why is Mabana in the state it's in if our people are empowered to run those spaces? Why do we not have our black people in management positions in the companies? And why is it that every time we talk about our creatives being treated in a certain way, it's always the black people? We never talk about the other employers who are not black and how they treat black people. So the mental health issue is not addressed because we are not ready to be vulnerable to one another, and we are not ready to change. Because we are not ready to change, we keep on doing the same old that is causing chaos, and it's causing harm. It's causing a lot of harm. You know, if you're not prepared to learn from your mistakes, you keep on making those mistakes and they become policy. So we talk about policy changing and need for putting policies in place and legislation and this and that. But what has become our policies and our legislation is the mistakes, because we are not changing anything, but we are too comfortable to sit there, and we are too comfortable to point fingers at each other. So the Department of Arts and Culture doesn't even know what its purpose is. That's why it doesn't serve any purpose at this point other than to disperse funds. If the people at the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture knew what their purpose is, then they would serve their purpose. The reason why they find it easier to work with sports people is because sports people themselves already are organized, because there was no disruptor to cause chaos in their spaces. In the arts, there are too many plants who are there to disrupt and cause chaos. And because of the plants that are there to cause and create chaos, it's difficult then to know who to talk to and how to work with the organizations that are there. So then they continue with the mistakes, they continue with the chaos, but nobody is ready to change. Nobody is ready to remove what doesn't work, because this is how we have always done it. Whatever you've always done and it hasn't worked and you keep on doing, expect it to crystallize all on its own without your assistance, because that's what you like. You like chaos, you crystallize chaos. You know, for the first time on Sunday, somebody explained plaque. You know, plaque, that thing that's in the teeth, how it becomes solid and you start thinking it's part of the teeth. Because if it's not attended to timelessly, it becomes so hard as the enamel of the tooth. So when it's removed, you feel like a part of your tooth is removed, but it's not the tooth, it's just plaque. Now, imagine policies that form out of mistakes and chaos. So we've crystallized and made enamel out of chaos and mistakes, because we are not ready to change. We are not ready to remove what doesn't work. The boils are festering because we are not ready to remove and change. So it's time. It's time for us to say, yes, people want to do it. Toys are not going to work if all it's going to do is just to address the issue of the MGE and nothing else. What needs to happen is, we had a boss berat, the minister promised us a follow-up. We had a meeting where he announced a new way of doing funding, and he promised again a follow-up. Now it's time to follow up. These meetings cannot stop until the system changes. He can't say, I've had 2 engagements with the sector. He has to engage until his tenure comes to an end. If he has to engage every 6 months for the next 4 years, then that's exactly what he needs to do. But he can't say, I've had 2 engagements with the sector. That is not how it works. If what you are doing is still not working, then you need to consult some more. What we have is a consultative democracy that our politicians don't understand, and they don't know how to work with, because they don't understand their own policies in the government they're sitting in. If you don't get the consultative aspect of this democracy, then you will keep on feeding us what we didn't ask for. If you're feeding a small baby, a newborn, meat, then don't be shocked if that child dies from what you're doing, because you are doing something wrong. But you can't force to keep on doing something wrong just because that's how we've always done it. Don't feed that baby meat. Give the child milk. And then when I'm a grown-up like me, I need something else to feed me. Now feed me differently because I'm a grown-up. But don't insist on giving me milk because that's what you've been feeding a baby. And this is what our government keeps on doing. They want to keep on feeding us milk that is not providing us with all the nutrients that we need. So I am saying, Minister Gayton McKenzie, can you please now stop feeding us milk as if we are babies? Ask us what we need to sustain us. This MGE code is one aspect of what is required from the department. There is so much else that has been neglected while everybody is running around trying to get the MGE sorted. But there are other things that are not working, that are not being done. And the same goes for production houses, actors. How are we even sitting with a situation where people don't have money to go to the doctor? Because the system is so bad and it's not working. So there's something that's got to shift. Something has got to give. And it's got to give now. Because otherwise we're going to see more and more cases. Why are we nurturing this culture of dependency, nurturing a culture of charity cases? We don't need charity. We need sustainability. And that means opening access. That means empowering people to do. You know, there's nothing as simple, there's nothing difficult in following things that work. In China, they can build things within 2 weeks because everybody works. Nobody's sitting there waiting for arms. Nobody's sitting there waiting for a grant. Everybody's given a chance to be productive, to contribute positively to the system. So if we're building a house, don't ask for 10 people to build a house for 6 months. What's the point of that little exercise? If we need to build a house within a week, bring in the 500 people to build that house and let be done with it. Do you realize if everybody worked, we wouldn't have unemployment, but also we would be so productive that we would create so much and we would grow our profits. But we are not even profiting anything at the moment. Our government is in debt because not everybody is working. Not everybody is bringing to their table what they have. So, unless we are sitting here fighting about who gets to sit with a minister, why doesn't everybody just sit with a minister? If what they are doing right now, going around every province collecting applications for MGE, rather than collecting applications for MGE in every province, why not call a boss berad in every province so that you understand that the problems are not the same? What they are going through in Mpumalanga is not the same as what they're going through in Gauteng. What they're going through in Gauteng is not the same as what they're going through in Cape Town. Other provinces have issues of incompetency. Other provinces have issues of denied access. Other provinces have issues of not enough resources. Other provinces have issues of racism. So how are you going to do a blanket solution finding process if you're not going to sort out individual problems? As a teacher, I can tell you my students are not all the same. So I have to know how to deal with each student so that I know how to make them the best, to bring out the excellence in each and everyone. Now, we don't understand why there are mental health issues in this industry, why people want to kill themselves. It's because we are not giving them agency. It's because we are not listening to people. It's because every time people say there's a problem, you want to throw things at them. Don't throw things at them. Find sustainable solutions. I will keep on coming out to do these lives until somebody listens and does something that makes an impact that is lasting. I will not ever again. You know, in the Bible, after God destroyed the world with water, he said, I will never again destroy this world, this earth with water. I'm going to say the same now. I will never again go on the streets and toy mina. But I am willing to sit down and say, now that you have paid attention, now that I've got your attention, this is what you can do. But don't assume you know what to do if you don't even know what the problem is. Don't assume that you can throw gifts at people. That's not how to solve the problem. That is just the plaster. Can we find sustainable solutions? And those solutions are not coming from one person. Everybody has something to offer that helps the bigger community of the creative industry. Now, that's not a job for 10 people. That's not a job for 10 organizations. My heart bleeds every time I see another post or another flyer about 5 more organizations coming out to do this. Stop it, guys. Even you, stop it. Stop it. You're not helping anyone now. This thing of it's me, pick me, because me, it's not helping anybody. On a serious note, we are at a point now when we all have to say, I've said this at my previous live, I said, we are at a point now when we need to accept that we all have a role to play. And we all need to allow each other to play our roles. If my role is to conscientize everybody, then somebody else's role is to sit at the table and come up with a plan. And somebody else's plan is to implement. You understand? So we all have a role to play. But we can't all now be sitting here saying, look, me, I'm doing the best. It's me. No. Let's grow up. And let's grow out of that. Because we all are needed. We are all important at this time. And if we don't get it, then let's all get out of here. Let's all check out. Because there is no point. I mean, this MGE debacle has highlighted the dysfunctionality of the system. And not just at DSAC, but in this entire country of South Africa. Maybe even Africa, I don't know. All I know is that the dysfunctionality has spread so far that we don't know how to get ourselves out of the quandary we've dug ourselves into. It's time to pull ourselves out. Whatever we need to do to drag ourselves out, we need to do. There was a time when it was so celebrated to be a millionaire. Now we celebrate billionaires. But we can level up and create trillionaires. But that will come from allowing everybody to put their shoulder to the plow and put in the work. If you allow everybody to work and stop creating dependence by giving them grants that don't even cover their daily sustenance, never mind monthly, then we will not create trillionaires. So my challenge today is, how are we creating millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires in a space that is denying access at the most basic levels? Comes a time to do something different. And politics are not the answer. And yes, government is not going to help us. We are on our own on this one. They've proven it, because look at what they have done with even our votes. Look at what they're doing with the trust we've put in their hands. Government is not going to help us. So what are we as society willing to do to change a system that is no longer working for us? That is my question today. Because our mental health has been compromised beyond. What are we willing to do to change? Ask yourself that question. What are you willing to do to change the system? Are you part of the problem, or are you part of the solution?
Life of an artist, bacho spices at glorifying drugs as a stage fright cure. You can try this just when you're about to grab your chance of staging. Excitement, you can't think. out this industry, or should I say this killer dream, cause you will swear that from the start it was designed to kill artists. Bangakulwela when days are bright unguthembekile. As a human being on Instagram ungxekekile. Too much pressure, unrealistic expectations. Whoever said that is the perfect ilizwi lahlekisile. Is with us wethembekile, singiza wethembekile. Remedies within us ezikrwempa sibhebhekile.